In terms of the definition, I just felt they've made the competency too very specific. It's not about just what is learning, and they've said develops and maintains a mindset which is open, curious, flexible, and client-centered. But they've made it now very specific, saying what do they mean by develop a kind of learning mindset. So it includes reaching out to supervisors, mentors. What do you do? What are the mechanics of it? I think that's what they have made it a little more specific. They remove the ambiguity from that.
Yeah. There was another very important aspect there where they have added the need for coach supervision and mentoring, where earlier ICF has not made it compulsory. So even here it has not made it compulsory yet, but I do see that change happening in terms of giving further emphasis to the coach's self-development.
2.2, which is including remaining aware of current technology. I think there was a sense of the things are changing so much now. Big tech has creeped into our life. So it's not just about being mindful of newer ways of coaching, newer coaching practices, but also being mindful of the environment. So they've not said it in those many words. They just said technology. But I think there is at least I felt that the hint of there is the background of AI which is coming in, and we have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, so they've also expanded it by saying including remaining aware of current coaching best practices.
Yeah.
In those best practices, everything else I think would largely come in, and also the use of technology. Yes, yeah. AI is there in a big way. Virtual itself, we are using virtual meeting rooms most of the time nowadays. So that also is use of technology, which has been very easily adapted by coaching itself.
And that's the point, Anu, is that I think they have put in the onus of personal development on the coaches as well, right? Because earlier it was self-managed, now they're expecting it to be more structured in some sense, right?
Correct. And I think also the learning and development is rooted in what the current situations within the coaching landscape is. So I think the earlier question when Nitin had asked what's the changes in the coaching landscape. So it's not saying that you just do learning and development and not be rooted in what the current environment is asking you to do. So I think that's also very pertinent, because that's what they've said, that you engage in learning and development, including remaining aware of what's happening around you.
Looks like the changes are dictating the changes here. The changes externally are dictating the changes here. Yeah.
Right.
If I may add, I think one of the big shift in coaching mindset is earlier the coaching mindset was talking about what the coach is doing, open, flexible, curious with the client. Now the focus is also on how the coach is being, by continuous self-development, developing their presence, and the context around the technology. So the more focus is coming on now on explicitly on how the coach is being than just what coach is doing. I think that's a greater shift that ICF is talking about in terms of mindset.
It's very interesting to note that it's not just about externally what's happening to the client, but also the inner condition of the client, which is also being exposed, which is also being focused on. So remains aware of and open to the influence of biases, context and culture on self and others, right? So the biases could have an impact for themselves. Again, a simplest example to give here is in an organization where the client is calling the coach sir or madam, and you're trying to bring in a partnership there and saying, hey, we are not sir or madam here. But the point is, where are we in terms of that particular, what's happening with us in terms of that word called sir or madam? And it's a lived experience where the bias that seemed to come up was in terms of saying, hey, is this, I'm in a partnership and partnership means like this. But whereas for the organization and the person and the client, it was an absolutely okay thing to do, particularly for the client. It was an absolutely okay thing to do. So my bias with respect to those words came up. So just as an example. So I think more focused inwards in terms of saying what's happening with you as well. Right. So it's not just external, it's also internal. Yours,
I think the 2.06 I think is interesting. There's a play of words again here. They have said moving from regulate one's emotions to manage one's emotions. And I think my understanding of regulate is in the moment, whereas manage is over a longer period of time. So I'm not only regulating if I am feeling sad, I'm not regulating my emotions in the moment for that, but I'm managing it over a longer period of time to say that I maintain the ability to kind of have myself in Hindi they call it sambhav, right? So where I'm have that equanimity in my behavior. So it's not only regulating it or stepping it up and down as required, but I'm able to manage it in a conducive manner over a longer period of time.
No, if I may add to it.
Yes.
So regulation is also about certain practices that you do to regulate.
Yes.
So, and maybe those are also words that fit in better with counseling and therapy. Right? Doesn't mean that you can't do it as a coach in the moment. Right? But I think the long-term view, like you said, is very important here. Right? The long-term view of managing your emotions as to how you're showing up. Right? So, and in fact, that same thing carries to the next one, 2.07. Maintains emotional, physical, mental well-being. It has moved from saying mentally and emotionally prepares for session to maintains emotional, physical, and mental. So it's given a kind of a all comprehensive picture in order to say it's not just about for sessions. In preparation for sessions, it's also talking about in preparation for session, throughout the session, and following each session, which basically means all throughout.
Correct. It's basically it's talking about the embodiment. It's not talking about just in the moment that you do something, and it's not transitory. It is something that you coaches have to embody that within themselves to be present in whatever they are doing. Yeah.
Can I add one learning that I got when I was doing the MCC? When I was doing the MCC journey. Once I got MCC, and I always wanted to be an MCC and not a person who got an MCC. But what happened in that moment for me is I realized I was showing up as a coach in only certain areas. So how does it actually happen when I need to show? And it's still an ongoing process. It's a learning process. So somewhere this feels like that long-term view is also about a holistic view. So I just wanted to add that.
And I think 2.09, Aniket and Pranav have actually summed it up quite well in terms of how do you nurture the openness and curiosity in oneself, the client, and the coaching process. I think very important to see here is that they've also added not only self and the client, but they've also added the coaching process. So how can you in the moment nurture openness and curiosity in whatever is of service to you and your client, and you flex your style and your coaching process accordingly. And this is the new thing that they've added. And also the 2.10, which also says that you remains aware of the influence of one's thoughts and behaviors on the client and others. So again, it's a lot to do with the systems around the person. You're not coaching in a vacuum. Each and every thing in the environment also has a reflection of what's happening with you and your client. So it's kind of bringing cognizance to that, to say that you need to continuously be aware of the influences that your thoughts, actions, and behaviors have not only on you, but your clients and also the others.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So I remember, I don't know if any of you have done family systems therapy and so on, or if you have at least read a little bit about it. So what it basically says is, I don't coach the person, but I coach the systems they bring in. Right, and therefore it basically this kind of fits in very well with this as well. So when you're saying remains open to the influence, because that's what a whole person is all about. You can't be bereft of your systems.